You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatobi for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. This is Oklahoma Homes. This will be one of the first episodes I've done. It's super exciting and kicking off a real estate element to it. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my first guest, who is a rock star agent, fellow agent of the agency, Kasey Reyes. Thanks so much for sitting down with me. You text me a couple of days ago and were like, hey, this is awesome. I have this really cool idea. You have to hear about it. And as soon as you showed me the pitch deck, I was like, hit record. We've got to tell people about this. And so thank you so much for sitting down. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of your time to share your vision. Before we dive into that, though, tell the people listening and watching a little bit about you. You've been in the industry. Your stats are incredible. You've done a lot of really cool things. But in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
Thanks for having me, Mike. It means so much to have you ask me to be a part of this. So real estate is just a big passion of mine. New construction specifically. I'm from Edmond, lifelong Edmond resident, grew up in Southeast Edmond, and I have devoted my entire career to sales and marketing, and naturally stepped into real estate about 7 years ago now, and I just have enjoyed every bit of it. So long story short, I got connected really quickly whenever I got licensed with builders and have been trusted with their business, and that's led to business development, which has led to natural progress of development for community. And now my passion is driving families to Edmond and placing families in the right communities, and I see an opportunity here, and so I'm just glad to be here to talk about it. Yeah.
What led you to a career in real estate first?
Sure. Just a passion for, people's better interests, I think, to be honest. One thing to build a business around sales, it's a whole nother thing to do it with a heart and a passion for people and who you're serving. I feel like God really truly called me to be an advocate for the community. I feel very blessed and fortunate to be in the position that I am in, having only being 35 years old, having the experience that I do, having the client's trust that I have, having the network that I have, the partnerships that I have, the insight. I mean, it's incredible. I'm looking forward to not just the next 5-10 years, I'm looking forward to the next 30-40 years, developing Edmond and building relationships and building homes. Yeah.
You mentioned faith-based and kind of you felt called. Tell me a little bit about your faith journey before we dive into the houses.
Sure. So I have been a lifelong Christian. I went to First Presbyterian Edmond growing up, and that is where I was baptized and went through confirmation in 7th grade. After that, I was devoted to Life Church for almost a decade, and then as I grew into my early adulthood, I actually stepped away from my faith for a little bit. Not that I intentionally did, I just didn't give it to God. And those were some of the hardest years of my life. And by design, God's design there, by consequence, I I struggled, and long story short, my marriage almost failed, and I didn't know where I was going to go and what I was going to do. I was 28, 29 years old and really lost, and that is when I got called back into church, and coincidentally at the exact same time is when I went to work for a home builder that was faith-based, and being around those people got me back into the church, got me back involved in the community, and got me back on track with my walk in Christ.
Yeah.
And I gave it all back to him, got rebaptized, asked for him to take over from here on out, and long story short, here we are today.
Yeah. So really, like, your kind of journey back to faith really aligns with real estate.
It does.
Okay. I love that. and tell me, kind of, you mentioned, specifically, your main focus with real estate is new construction.
It is.
Where did that, you mentioned going work for that faith-based builder.
Yep.
Why and how does that happen? And then talking deeper about new construction, why do you kind of feel, like that, where you were called to new construction specifically?
Oh, that's a great question. So I genuinely don't know how to answer that other than God did it. Okay. I was not qualified to even go sell new construction homes whenever I had the opportunity to. It's a huge job to be entrusted by a home builder to sell their product and to be the connection between the person that's coming in to buy it and the builder who's selling it is a lot of trust. And without any background in real estate at that time, I just had retail sales experience and retail management experience. And other than God leading me there, and that company subsequently being the reason why I walked back into my faith and how I arrived back into being a Christian woman, where then took me and built the network, the community, the connections that it did after that, to allow me to now be representing, him in the field. Yeah. I mean, that's truly it.
Yeah.
Truly, I feel like I just have him on my team.
And I know people who know you will know you dove heavily into social media. You have a great social media following. You have a great eye for social media, and also I think you're teaching the office and the agents as well as myself that it doesn't have to be polished content, right? Like just consistently showing that you're a real estate agent and being in front of people goes a lot further than you having to stand up in front of lights and a camera and produce this and get a ring light. And I think you've been completely authentically you, and that definitely comes across. And for me on the other side, as a fellow agent, I see that, I'm like, I need to do more of that, right? It's cool to see.
Thank you.
I know you joke about it, and I know, I remember you saying when the team took a trip to Tulsa, you're like, hey, sorry guys, you're all going to be on the video, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll always be in reels, and you'll go create 10 reels or 10 pieces of content in one day, but you have that eye for content creation, but also, there's a reason for it. You're not just like, I'm a social media influencer and I look cool and there's a new house. There's a reason to it, right? And there's a sales angle to it. It's very brand specific, which I love. What are the moments before, in new construction that you really kind of drew you in as far as, existing homes? And because there is beautiful architecture out there, I'm from the UK. I, kind of joke that history isn't massive here, right?
Yeah.
It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
So, there's not many of the homes that are like castles like I have back home. But there is something, to be said about the historic, really cool neighborhoods that we have in Oklahoma City and Tulsa and all over. But something clearly drew you to new construction.
Certainly.
So what are those moments for you that really kind of like pop for you with development and new construction?
Well, I think that the passion really started brewing in my heart the second that I got aligned with the career of real estate and the opportunity that was presented to sell for that builder when I got started. I got started in new construction. I didn't start as a real estate agent. So to be clear, I started as a new home sales consultant for a dedicated builder who at the time utilized my skill sets that I had to effectively sell their homes. I was capable, competent, able to do that immediately. So they recognized some value there. I recognized value in the team. What led the passion was because that provided purpose for me. I mean, it was a well-received, mutually beneficial partnership at that time. And the skills that I learned during that timeline of my life before I became licensed, when I saw such a huge opportunity in the practice of real estate in itself for someone to care about new construction to the level of specializing in it. It's one thing for someone to have the networking and have connections with builders, have relationships with builders. I want to know the product. The builders are great, but I want to know about the product, and then to have the insight from the people of what they were looking for. It's one thing to meet your friend out to go show them a home, or someone that's in your network to go show them homes. It's a totally different ballgame to be sitting in a home and have the general public come into your space, and then you have to form that connection and earn their trust. So whenever I realized that there was this opportunity for someone to come in and take such ownership in the new construction field and the practice of real estate, and then you add the combination of luxury, which was simple for me to do walking in Edmond. You know, my biggest focus here is Edmond, Oklahoma, because that's my hometown. It was a natural thing for me. I knew too many people from Edmond. The average luxury home at the time, whenever I got started, was $500,000. That was the threshold. Nowadays, it's like $900,000, but then it was $500,000, and so it was a very natural fit. And so, long story short, I felt called. I feel like that was such an eye-opening experience to be a part of that journey with that builder. For them to get me back into church and for all of that to happen, it was bigger than me. And now my passion is derived from that, and I'm a faithful servant, just following where he's calling me to go.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but over $50 million?
Correct, yeah.
In quite a short amount of time.
2 years.
Yeah, which is wildly impressive. What would you say are your keys to your success for $50 million in 2 years?
Sure. I think you mentioned it earlier, showing up authentically as yourself. I think having the concept of why people are buying a home and caring about that. I think not being afraid to show who you are. You know, I came and approached marketing and real estate at a time on social media when it wasn't customary to show your face. And I was out there showing my face. And granted, I was using the filters and the eyelashes, and that's kind of the running joke now because they took those away. But I loved, being able to connect with people that way. So whenever I was out in public, people would come up to me and say, "You're Kasey, and I know who you are, and I know your dog and your daughter and your husband." And it was this weird concept of having a platform and being known without being a celebrity by any means. It's not like that. It's just, it's the coolest thing that you can connect with people before you even know who they are. Yeah. And then the same concept, doing it with homes. And that was my approach to real estate. Yeah. So then I started showing homes and created Luxury OKC.
Brilliant. Follow Luxury OKC.
Plug.
Let's talk about the agency. It's a brand that we both love. It's very new to Oklahoma. It's in its second year of kind of being here. We have great leaders at the helm with Wyatt Wayne and Liz, who's our director of operations, who secretly runs the show. Tell me a little bit about your journey to joining the agency and why that was a key decision in your business.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So the agency on its own is such a powerful platform, a global platform. It's just incredible to see what the agency alone as a brokerage is doing in our world, in our nation. To have that much power in such a small market like Oklahoma was a huge move. So obviously, I was interested the second I heard that it was coming. I was interested to learn more just from that perspective. You mentioned Wyatt and Wayne and Liz. You take the people that are at the helm of the brokerage in Oklahoma, and you look at what they've done, who they are as people. And that made it a no-brainer to try to have a conversation with these people. Now, let me tell you, if you've never met Wyatt Poindexter, that name can carry a lot of weight. And as an agent, that's a very intimidating thing. There's a lot of people I look up to in real estate, and Wyatt was at the top, to the point where, here I am in my second year of real estate, and I'm sitting at a table being interviewed by a seller who's selling a $1.5 million home, and I'm up against Wyatt. And I'm like, I will never beat this man. I will never win this. But you know what I can do is I can go learn from him. And so fate had it. He started the agency. I was interested. I was never going to approach him without knowing him. I knew he was a great person. I didn't know Wayne very well, but I had heard he was a great person. And so whenever I was out and about in the town one day. I ran into him and his wife in the parking lot of a restaurant and introduced myself. And the connection that was made there at that time, it was just like, you could just tell, good people meet good people. And there was some more conversation to be had. So there was a follow-up message that came shortly after that, and went to the launch party. Was overly impressed, of course. Knew that was going to be like, okay. I mean, knew that was a thing. But he took the time at that party to say, I want to talk to you more. And it just made me feel really special. And it made me feel like he saw me, and I felt like so small next to him. You know what I mean? He's just an incredible agent, and for him to know who I am was really a privilege.
Yeah. And you mentioned faith-based, we have a faith-based at the office too.
Incredibly so. That was the driving point. I mean, you don't know that until you get to know people, truly. You don't know exactly to what extent it is. I think anyone that probably sees the agency as a brand associates it with luxury, private jets, fancy cars,
Netflix TV shows,
LA, all of the things, suits, all of the things. And it's just so cool when you really know the agency and you know the hearts of the people at the agency Oklahoma. It's incredible. Christian-based, family-oriented. It is people who care about their community, involved in their community, charitable, really giving back in ways that are not seen or spoken about because they are better than I am. I would have a camera up there showing every angle of what they're doing, and you only see the very iceberg of what these people are doing in our community. So I am 100% proud to be a part of the agency Oklahoma because of who these people are.
Yeah, I haven't been a part of another brokerage that, if you have a listing and you put in our group text, hey guys, we're having listing photos, and 15 agents show up, right? Just to be there, just to take photos and get their own.
And not just any agents. It's people that truly have clients out there that are going to sell and move these homes for our sellers off market. I mean, it's incredible.
It's really, really special.
It really is.
So you've got exciting projects. You haven't just gone to continue selling. Something has come to you and called to you that you should dip your toe in development and think, this is my next step. This is what I should be doing. It's the next logical step. How does this idea, how does Myers Park come about, and how do we get to where we are today to launch Myers Park and tell the world about it?
So there's emotional connection behind Myers Park. It's a very cool. It's another God story. It's another testimony. I lost my mother to cancer a couple of years ago, and before I lost her to cancer, while I was in my walk away from faith, I wanted to move to North Carolina with my husband, and we were going to start our family there. I had lived in Edmond my whole life, and as Edmondites do, we are fearful of never leaving because Edmond, Oklahoma has so many great things to offer families. It has so much value here in regards to lifestyle and affordability. So there was a huge concern that I was not growing up into who I was supposed to be. And long story short, we literally did a Heads Carolina, Tails California situation.
Wow.
Quite literally flipped a coin, ended up North Carolina. It was put on my heart at that time. This is circa 2020, 2019 maybe. And so it was put on my heart at that time, North Carolina. So as the days progressed, we watched a lot of YouTube videos. We were just spiraling into obsession about the idea of this move. And again, my mother was battling cancer at the time, and long story short, we ended up at Myers Park, North Carolina, just based off of YouTube videos and Google Earth. And that's where we were landing. And we were like, oh, this is the dream. Well, this is the Nichols Hills of North Carolina. So the property there, the average home is $5 million. It is much more than what we see here in Oklahoma City. So it was obviously a dream. It was nothing more than at the time, but Charlotte itself was still on our hearts. And I went to my mother and I asked her, or basically told her, we're thinking about moving to North Carolina sometime in the future and before we plan our roots, before we step too deep into our careers here, before we have children. And, she just looked at me and goes, are you crazy? And the reason for that was because she was sick. You know, she didn't want us to leave. She raised me as a single mother, and she raised a strong, independent woman who was going to flourish. And she didn't want to miss any part of that while she was here on this earth with us. And that's all it took for me to sit down and to stay in Edmond, Oklahoma, as I am today. So that's kind of the emotional story behind Myers Park. Yeah. The concept of Myers Park was derived from just really identifying this gap in the market. Having worked in the luxury new construction space, having worked with a handful of different clientele with other agents in mind as well, there was this huge need for people wanting affordable, modest luxury, but without having to spend or buy the 5,000 to 7,000 square foot home. We have a lot of really beautiful neighborhoods like Gaillardia, like Mulholland, like the Oakdale area, Southeast Edmond. Those tend to be a little bit older and dated, but again, the square footages are much larger. There's Annecy, which is beautiful, but at the same time, it's still lacking a lot of character that those neighborhoods have. And so I just saw this need, that we needed this centralized location, modest luxury, great amenities. We moved to Iron Horse Ranch in 2022, and I loved living in that community. It was really special. It was developed with character, with retaining the natural beauty, with amenities in mind. It was an expensive development, and today there is nothing like it out there. So you mix Iron Horse Ranch, you mix Gaillardia, and that is Myers Park, North Carolina. Yeah. And I just said, I wish there was something like that here. And so when a certain property came out and about on the market, I took a look at it, and then I kind of looked at it with one eye because I didn't want to think what I was starting to think. And then I was like, nope, that's Myers Park. Yeah. That's the neighborhood. It also comes in conjunction at a time where lot space is very rare for our builders right now. Our developers, seasoned developers such as David Yost, is stepping out, retiring. Of age too, rightfully so. Congratulations, David, because the work you've done here is incredible. Yeah. He developed neighborhoods like Stone Mill and Apple Valley and Oakdale, just some of our favorite neighborhoods here in Edmond. And long story short, with such developers stepping out, there's this gap that you and I both see where there's no such developments now here. Yeah. So I'm just trying to bring that back to Edmond so that those of us who are staying in Edmond can love their life and not feel like they have to move to get that type of character.
I love it. I think you're totally right. You see there is a gap, right? And you have developers kind of retiring. No one's really following that. You have really big neighborhoods. Like I said, you talk about Gaillardia and the massive homes there and just the huge lot size, and that's a lot to maintain. And also, maybe there isn't there's clearly a need there, and that's what you see, in Myers Park. Dive into the specifics for us. What specifically, kind of talk about amenities, neighborhood, not just like, hey, we have a clubhouse and a pool, because there's a lot of neighborhoods that have a clubhouse and a pool, but there is a lifestyle to this development. It's not just your typical, clubhouse, pool, gym, see you later, we got a food truck in every week and that's it, right?
Right.
So let's really dive into the lifestyle, the development, and just kind of your true vision for Myers Park.
Sure. So one of the best things about Myers Park is undoubtedly going to be the location. The location is going to be in an area that's not being developed. And without giving away too much, because again, we have to kind of
we gotta be careful.
Be careful here. But this location is a premium spot for families that are wanting to be close to downtown Oklahoma City, wanting to be close to Upper Edmond, wanting to be, whether they're working or their kids' school, whatever it may be. It is within 15 minutes to every single private school in the metro, which is incredible. So one of the things that we're seeing just in regards to this search specifically is either empty nesters or affluent families not having a place to go within close proximity to their child's school. So they're being forced to either go into Quail Creek, which were built in the 70s, 80s, being forced to go to Nichols Hills, which are starting in the 40s, 30s, 40s, much remodeled now. But again, the price point there it's an astounding price point for construction right now. We've exceeded the $500 price per square foot in Nichols Hills comfortably. The idea there is that we are needing something that has those amenities that you mentioned, the standard community amenities, but we want to really be inspired by nature. The art, the sculpture park that Edmond is having that same idea of having more of a sophisticated feel, the gated amenity, of course, for the security and the safety of the families that are there. We want to highlight the fact that there's going to be natural walking trails, ponds, waterfalls. It's going to be really special. And so to have a place where you feel like you're at home, but you also could be on vacation anywhere in the world, the historic inspiration from the homes themselves and the architecture, natural rolling hills, mature trees, and we're going to retain them. We're going to one thing about this development is I'm not going anywhere. So I'm going to be in charge of selling it from the development to the builders and then charge of the builds, the architectural committee. We're going to have pre-drawn landscape options for each build, and it's going to be a requirement that the landscape package is more than probably 5 times what you see at the average home right now in the market. It's going to feel like you're in a park, just walking through the neighborhood. You're going to have a lot of brick and stone and that historically inspired feeling that you get whenever you do walk through a mature neighborhood such as Nichols Hills or the UK or anywhere that might have more history than Oklahoma City. But it's going to feel really special.
So you really are leaning into the lifestyle and having these requirements and living up to the park name, having the amenities, having rolling hills, natural walking trails, water, and really kind of building this kind of lifestyle community that's really missing, right?
Exactly.
We don't have this here.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, we literally have a pre-drawn plat before we're presenting to the engineering team for the preliminary, but we have a park drawn on there that we just want to be a big open space for the kids to go play. Not that, that's necessary. It's just that it's nice to have. In addition to the trees being preserved, I think that's a big thing, especially in this area that we're talking about. One of the reasons why people don't move from this area is because of the location and because of the trees, truly. And so to preserve those things that people already love about the area, it's important for us to do that. And for the neighbors, we really want to be speaking to bringing in something valuable. I want everyone that lives in the surrounding neighborhoods to want to move to Myers Park because maybe they don't need their 7,000 square foot home anymore, but this is going to offer them something a little bit more modestly sized, but they're not lacking in the character, the charm, or the lifestyle that you're talking about.
To that point, talking about lot size, talking about house size, what are the specifics on, I know you mentioned landscape packages that are predetermined that you get to choose from, but what about the actual property itself?
Sure. So right now it's all in the preliminary stages. So I don't want to say anything for certain because it can be changed. From the current direction that we're at, if we're truly honing in the natural beauty and the character that Myers Park, North Carolina has, again, we have something to go off of here. We're not just pulling this out of thin air. There's going to be a way to have a concept where there's a 3rd acre lot that will be part of it. Of this 120 acre parcel that we're talking about, there's going to be 40 acres of a 3rd acre, maybe a 1/4 acre to a 3rd acre. And then as you progress into the main part of the land, you're going to find 40 acres that is going to be about 40 home sites of 1/2 acre. So again, in the 40 acres, 40 home sites that are 1/2 an acre. So we're not utilizing nearly all of the square footage of this land whatsoever. And then as we progress into the remaining 40 acres that we have at this parcel, this property, we're going to be looking at 13 estates that are just on 1.3 acres. Again, retaining a lot of the rolling hills, the trees, trying to make sure that we are being mindful of keeping the HOA costs down as much as we can for the homeowners, but at the same time offering that lifestyle that makes them want to walk around their neighborhood, get some fresh air, get to know their neighbors. There's going to be a pickleball court. There's going to be a true park for the kids, the grandkids. There's going to be walking trails around the ponds, all through the neighborhood. It's going to be beautiful.
I wish people listening and watching could see it visually because I've got to see it and I'm just giddy that this is going to be here at some point. I'm super excited. It's going to be amazing.
There's a lot of things that we haven't talked about, Mike, but it's really important that we keep as much protected as we can at this point because there are some surprise factors that we are excited to share with the general public, but right now we can't.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
we have to kind of be mindful of that as well. You know, the biggest thing here, the biggest need is just that there isn't anywhere for people to go. They're having to go too far out. And so the biggest highlight here is the location and the lifestyle and what it's going to bring, what it's going to offer, retaining value for that area. That's going to be another big thing. If it's not this, then what? It's going to be something not anything like it.
Right.
Because no one's going to take the time, attention, and detail to make it so.
We're all going to be mad if it gets bulldozed and turned into an entire neighborhood of 500 homes.
Yes.
When this piece of property that's beautiful that once was,
it's a piece of art.
Have been,
it's a piece of art itself. And the main house right now is going to be utilized as a clubhouse. And I'm telling you, it's not your run-of-the-mill clubhouse that you're seeing in these production neighborhoods now. I mean, if you go, nothing against these other neighborhoods, but if you go to any clubhouse now, you're just like, okay, it kind of smells like a pool in here, and you know, maybe Steve's working out in the weight room again, and that's it. It kind of gives you that, not this clubhouse, not this clubhouse. We're talking about a wine patio, hummingbird feeders. You want to go read a book by the waterfall? Absolutely. And state-of-the-art pool, state-of-the-art, everything is state-of-the-art. It is going to be where you want to live in Oklahoma.
Brilliant. I'm pumped. I'm super excited, and I feel lucky that I got to see it, and people haven't seen it yet. They will at some point and get, we'll drip little bits of, keep them enticed and show them everything they need to see. But congrats, this is amazing. I'm excited. Congratulations on just taking big swings. It's hard for us to take big swings because the lives that we live, we're in front of the public eye, and everyone is always on their phone or is always on social media, and look at what happened to this person, or there's always chatter of someone not being successful, whatever it is. I love talking to people who take big swings. It's what I do on the podcast. I get to share really cool stories, and the personal touches that you have to this, and the ties that you have, and that ties into your clearly very good at what you do, your talent and ability to sell not only real estate, but new construction real estate, to build reputation, to build rapport with people. I'm pumped, and I can't wait to see a bunch of people get behind you, because I know they will, and it won't take long at all, because I see it. I see it every day on you when you do your job, and obviously I get to sit by you and give people an opportunity to see it as well. So thank you so much for taking the time out to share your vision for Myers Park. Excited when people get to see it, and excited to share it whenever we can through all the This Is Oklahoma platforms. And I know the agency and our team is going to be screaming it from the rooftops.
Can you imagine?
It's going to be so good.
They're going to be sold. It's going to be sold.
It's going to be sold.
It's going to be sold. In fact, I think we have literally 50 names already for tangible prospects for this property. I'm not kidding. I threw up a poll on the moms group just to kind of get teasers out there, and we've got 20% saying yes, sign me up. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where do people find you? Where do people find more information about this, and how can they kind of get behind it, or even get their name on the list?
That's great. MyersParkOKC.com. Once we have our attorneys taking care of a lot of behind the scenes work right now, but once that's settled, we'll be able to take lot reservations, and after the plats are kind of done, and at least get people on a list to be the first into Myers Park, and trust me, you're going to want to be a part of it.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. Myers Park OKC.
I will put a link to that in the description down below. Go click it, check it out. And thanks so much for being here. I'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffees really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffeeford.net, and then on Instagram at diffeefordlincoln.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.